Is the timer on?
You want to try that again, or we'll go with that intro if you're proud of
No, let's not
you're
go with
proud
that
with that.
intro. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go.
Welcome to Reckoning Bros, everybody. I'm Josh.
I'm Mark.
I'm Scott. It's good to see you two. You two are like brothers that didn't want each other.
Yeah, well,
I love it. I
He
love it.
used to say, what did you used to say?
I used to say you're the little brother I never wanted, which is still true.
That's exactly what you just said, yes. So
Still
we
true.
are on week 4 of our roundtable kind of talking, and
He's just getting ready.
You done? Week 4 of having a single host and having the other people answer questions. So it's again my turn. I'm not going to go as political or current event related. Scott and I usually do some. What the hell are you doing?
Josh is very touchy today.
What is he doing?
So he has sand in his vagina, so he's very touchy. He's very touchy.
It's
very touchy.
hurting cats. It's hurting cats.
It is. That's exactly right. So
you wanted to stay a little bit less political. You were saying
a little bit less political, but usually you and I, Scott, when we talk on our afternoon teas, we go a little bit more philosophical or ethics related. And I kind of wanted to pick the brain here a little bit, and I didn't tell you what was going on. So I know that this topic is near and dear to your heart. So I will just roll with it, and we're just gonna kind of be an open forum and ask questions, and figure out what this means.
You and Scotty are public intellectuals.
We're not.
We're pseudo public intellectuals, Mark. So please get it right. And if you look, at least from what I see, Josh is looking super NPR right now with the glasses. He's got his notebook on. He's got his trademark fucking whatchamacallit going on. He's got a watch.
My quarter zip. Do you like my quarter zip?
Who wears a watch? But Josh is wearing a watch. I love it. Anyways,
okay.
Please proceed.
So let's begin. My first question to you both: What does it take to be open-minded?
You want to go first?
You go first, Scott.
Humility, first and foremost. It takes humility. You can't be open-minded without humility. It is step one. It is the first step. It is the last step. It's the alpha. It's the omega. It's the John Wayne of mental stability. It's the best.
You have to be able to admit, it's humility. You have to be able to admit you're wrong when you are, and you have to not kick yourself or get depressed over the fact that you might be wrong about something. You have to learn from being wrong whenever you're wrong. You have to take it as a learning experience, not as a blow to your ego.
Emotions being in check, I think, goes hand in hand with that. You got to be able to. It's like Sam Harris always says, you can't stop an emotion from happening. But by paying attention to what it really is, you can cut down the half-life so you can get back to normal faster.
I can't even process the amount of emotion that I see anymore from people. And I just,
I was going to ask you, as we were beginning this, I now know you understand why I asked you to read what you read to me earlier, because it's very near and dear to this topic. So Please proceed, if you wouldn't mind. Mark read me this earlier. So uncoordinated. So it was
completely uncoordinated.
Interesting that he
walked in, I took the dogs out, poured a drink, and went, I'm getting pretty goddamn sick and tired of reading stuff like this, and it's all over. It's all over the place. Stuff like this, and this is a perfect example of it. And yes, it's political. I'm not making it political. It's emotions. It's political. It's everything. So
let's hear it.
Quote: I honestly don't like how angry I've become in the last month. This isn't like me, but I'm angry because I care. I'm hardly sleeping. I'm constantly worried. I don't ever remember being so angry and upset. Every day I wake up and ask myself, what happened now? Does anyone else feel like this? Now, I know that in the context that the person who put this up on Twitter, on X, it's 24/7. Like they've never posted a puppy video, you know.
Mm.
They've never said hey, say a prayer for my friend who was just in a car accident. They've never, everything. I did politics for years, and I'm not political all the time, and I have a really difficult time processing people that are the online left who are constantly political. 12 tweets a day about Elon Musk, 20 tweets a day about Donald Trump, 15 tweets a day about Volodymyr Zelensky, Ukraine, genocide in Israel, on and on every day, day after day.
Can I ask something real quick and just butt in here a bit?
Please,
Would you
yeah.
think my experience with Twitter/X, that's not just the left. Let's be honest here. There's plenty of people on the right. I understand how the left annoys you more about it, and I think that's justifiable.
Well, that's a
Well,
fair
I
point.
see right wing
Yeah.
people doing that too, just not stepping away from politics.
Yeah, no, that's a fair point. And what I would tell the online left is, do you see yourself? Because the very people you're complaining that are that are perpetually online right, like you complained about about people uh, who posted about Joe Biden 24/7, and now
Mm.
you're doing the same thing. And
Yeah.
so you got a little bit ahead of me because that I was going to make that point, Scott. I was getting there, and
I
then
did
of
not.
course,
I fucked up. I didn't read the script
and then you took a
beforehand,
shit,
so I
and you took a
apologize.
shit all
There
over
is
me.
no script.
I did, and I'm sorry, but yes. So you're saying that the right was doing that same exact shit about Joe Biden, his mental decline and everything. There'd be people so obsessed with that story, justifiably so, to be obsessed with this story. The president was fucking losing mental capacity. However, they didn't step away from politics. So every tweet
They didn't
was that
step away from
everything.
politics.
They didn't
No,
breathe. They didn't go outside. They didn't touch grass.
no, they didn't touch grass. Yeah, absolutely. Now, but what I just read, and then just as a reminder, I honestly don't know how angry I've become the last month. Blah blah blah. Now that's about the fact that Donald Trump won, and they um,
Trump and Musk and Doge, and they're just bitching about all that shit.
yeah, and I have the same thing to say to them that I would have said to the perpetually online right people who are complaining about Joe Biden 24/7. My response to that, and I'm dating myself, and it doesn't matter. I watched 50,000 American boys get sent back here in body bags, hundreds every month, sometimes thousands every month for 7 years.
Is it World
Leave
War
aside the
II?
fact that I worried about my father, or early in the war. Every day, every week, every month we had 675,000 troops in Vietnam, and every week hundreds and hundreds, sometimes thousands of boys got sent back here in body bags, maimed, crippled, sons of my family's friends, um, my neighbors, my friends, people that were a couple of years ahead of me in high school. I wasn't old enough, to be in that war. All because of Lyndon Johnson, sending 675,000 troops to Vietnam. I really can't process somebody who's freaking out about the Department of Government Efficiency or a 10% cut in government spending, or Cheeto saying something mean to Zelensky in the Oval Office, or a cabinet or the new Secretary of Defense saying he's going to cut federal contracts for military contractor. You need to calm down.
Do you
You need to
think
calm the
there's a
fuck down.
relation? Do you
Yeah.
think there's a relation? You're talking about people in the 60s versus now and them freaking out on the internet. In the 60s, when I think of college protesters, right, they were protesting because their friends were dying. That was an actual, real emotional response for a lot of these
Yes.
people, right? The four dead in
Yes.
Ohio, all those kids, they really wanted to stop the war. When you see kids protesting now, it's for basically bullshit fabricated reasons. It's an excuse to feel in public. just like those tweets you were talking about. It's like an excuse to feel in public and get some kind of response. It's
Yeah.
therapy. It's not real, genuine reactions to the world. Do you think there's any truth in that, Mark and
I
Josh?
think, yeah, well, I think, yeah, I absolutely agree with that. And I think it's because of NPD. I think it's because of narcissistic personality
Are you
disorder.
reading my script?
Narcissistic person.
He's reading
Dude,
it.
I've not seen it.
we're just jumping ahead of each other like this is crazy right now.
I think we have an epidemic of narcissistic personality disorder. Josh, you made a list. I haven't seen it. You keep telling me that I have like these magic powers to see it.
Well, it's because you're drinking Powers whiskey.
Go. No, let's fucking
No,
go.
I mean that was my next thing was narcissistic personality disorder.
You know,
Are age youth more open or closed to change? Are they more open minded? Are they more respectful of another point of view? And you just hit it right there, like it conversation just ebbed into it. So keep going. I mean, this is great.
So you're asking if the young are more open minded than the old, or than the
Yeah.
young were in the
Yeah,
'60s?
young, middle age, old. Who in that gender gap are more open minded about change? I guess.
oh well, no, well the young people are not as open minded now as they were in my generation or Gen Xers because of indoctrination. They're indoctrinated, but propaganda works, right? So no, so after gay rights, they're going to take away women's rights and all rights until all that's left is white men who control their wives like property and own slaves.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't know how.
just
I don't know how divorced from reality you can be to say something like that. And it is a very compelling. Uh, it's a very compelling mark on our society that people would believe something that insane.
Yeah.
it's our society and its technology allowing for it. If it wasn't for social media being able to bring these people together and allow them to get their social satisfaction through these really narrow-minded niche communities, they probably wouldn't be doing it, or we wouldn't even know about it without
You'll
social
never
media
guess
and
what
beyond.
community that person is from.
Yeah, we would.
It's
Okay,
California.
let's move on. And this one, I'm just curious about your thoughts on this. Gender. Who is more open or closed to uh, being open minded to having a
Depends on
different
the subject.
perspective?
It depends on the subject, because women are more emotional, compassionate, but that can be a double-edged sword too. So I think so long as something doesn't really cut against the grain for a woman emotionally, she's probably a little bit more open-minded. But there's that
Okay, yeah,
huge
I
like
can see that.
emotional block that's there. Except for that, if it doesn't hit that block, I'd say women. Otherwise, men on
Would you say
those
men are
safe.
more rigid with the open mindedness? They're stuck within their ways.
Yes, it would appear that way because I think men would probably, generally speaking, and this is probably even a semi-bigoted statement, generally take their time to think about things more rationally. So
Things
they
a
might
sexist would say.
exactly. You're going to break that microphone.
Can
It's
I ask?
unusable when you speak in it that closely, though. Just FYI,
Can I
there.
ask you? Can I ask you a question, Scott?
Please, by all
I'm
means,
asking the question.
I
You
want
don't
to
get to
ask
ask
Scott. I
questions.
want to ask
You
Scott a
need to
let the
ask
question.
man
permission to ask
ask a
questions.
question.
Okay, go ahead. You poured me a drink. I'll let it slide.
That's his drink.
Is it bigoted or trans?
Fine.
Is it bigoted or transphobic to have sex markers on passports and not gender markers? And I ask this question because of an actress or model or whoever made a very public spectacle of themselves after they lost their passport. They were in another country. The new passport they got uh, didn't match their gender identity. It matched their biological sex. And the whole huge controversy came out. Every network covered it. Every cable news network covered it. It became a huge thing. And I asked that question. I'll give you. Um, uh, so the question again, once again, is it is it bigoted or transphobic for a government document to require your biological sex?
No, not at all. Not more than it would be to put your height on there. If putting your height on there was problematic for some reason, then putting your sex on there. but it's there to identify you, which just to make sure you are who you are in case shit goes awry. Really?
In
I mean,
my
there's no inherent sexism or bigotry in that. If somebody sees it, they're putting it there. They're projecting it there. It's not there.
and because I've traveled a lot and have had a lot of experience with passports and visas, etc., my reply to a lot of people who believe that it's transphobic or bigoted: biological sex is different from gender identity. You keep telling me that, and that's true. Passports have never had gender markers on them; they've only had sex markers on them. And what did Sparky do? Sparky went to the Department of State's website and found out that you can apply for your passport with the X option. The X option is, because of course the outrage was Donald Trump and the Donald Trump State Department are transphobic, so they're making us put our the sex we were assigned at birth on our passports.
That is the narrative.
Yeah, that was the narrative. And the truth of the matter is, asking for the X marker is an option.
I wouldn't die on the hill of there needs to be male or female sex based on it. If there was some, like, I don't know, political reason, like if I were playing the political football game, I wouldn't put that in my top tier die on hill.
Neither would
There'd
I.
be things there, but it'd be like a step down.
Well,
That's the most steel man argument I could make for it, because it's
Hold
fucking
on, hold on.
stupid to not
I've
have
heard that
that
a
on there.
lot lately, and I would like to know: did you hear that recently, or is that something that you just came up with on the out
Something
of
I
the
just
blue?
came up with. I promise you, I've never heard anybody say that
Die
in
on the
that, in
hill?
reference to
I've
that.
heard that like 6 times in the
Oh, the
last week.
phrase "die on that hill"? Yeah, all the time. That's a common phrase. I thought you
I've
meant
I've
in
heard it a lot
specifically
lately.
to this issue.
So I was just curious.
Oh no, all the time. That's a big thing. That, yeah, of course, die on the hill.
I've
It's
said it.
especially referring to like political
I
battles.
think I said it to you. Is that the hill you want to die on? Last week.
I hear that all the time.
Anyway,
But I
sorry.
also wouldn't die on that hill because it might not be used that often. I don't
Yeah.
know.
So let's move on. So the next part about being open minded, about seeing another point of view, are these biases inherited? Is there a rebellion, or is it straight down the line? Go, go.
Can I ask a clarifying question, please?
You may.
Biases inherited. What do you mean by inherited?
Well, there's a nice little story I'd like to tell you.
Please.
Ronald Reagan was giving a speech, and you may know this one. It was about Teddy Roosevelt, and he was giving a speech, and it was a stem winder, is what he used of a speech, and he was really getting into it. And somebody in the crowd says, "I'm a Democrat. I'm a Democrat." And he wouldn't shut up about it. He kept saying, "I'm a Democrat." And TDR says, "Why are you a Democrat?" He finally gave in to him. And he goes, "Because my father and my grandfather and my great grandfather was." And TDR says, "What if your father, your grandfather, and your great grandfather were jackasses? What would you be then?" No,
It's pretty good.
a
Especially for the
Republican.
time when he said that. That would have been a funny ass joke.
He rolled over my punchline.
He fucked up your punchline.
He did.
But your timing was bad.
It
I
was bad
thought you
because I
were
was waiting
done.
for you to say what it actually was. His father, his grandfather, his great grandfather was a jackass that makes him a Republican. That was
Oh, I
really
thought you were
screwed up
done.
my
I didn't
timing.
realize it was a joke. I'm
It was
sorry, man.
it was a
Look,
joke.
all I can do is apologize at this point. It's already been done.
It's
I
done and over
fucked
with.
up, and I'm sorry.
There's
I am
another
sorry I
one,
fucked that up.
and,
Can you
What's the other
tell
one?
I want to
can
tell
you
the other
tell me
one,
when
and
it's
you
over
just
so I don't
zip
fuck
it.
it up?
You just zip
Just
it. How
tell
about
me when
that?
it's over. I don't want to fuck it up. Tell me when it's over. Okay, go.
There's a kid selling Democratic kittens outside of a Democratic fundraiser,
Mhm.
and he's saying, "Oh, this is a Democrat kitten. This is a Democrat kitten," and he gets. Do you know this one already?
Mm.
Okay. He gets people to buy him. He's got some left over at the end of the week. The next week, there's a Republican fundraiser right there, same place. And so he says, "These are Republican kittens. These are Republican kittens." In the press, some journalist walks up to him and says, "Kid, you were out here a week ago. You were saying these are Democrat kittens." He goes, "Yeah, they're Republican kittens now." He goes, "How do you know the difference?" He goes, "Because they have their eyes open now." Ronald Reagan.
Is it a
I
joke
don't
over?
think Reagan told jokes that were that bad.
I can show you the YouTube video he did. Anyway, the bias is inherited. That's where
So
I was talking about the father, the
you're just
grandfather, the great
talking. Do you
grandfather.
believe your parents the same shit? If you were a
Yeah,
Southern Democrat in
but
Mississippi, are you?
also, is there an alternate to that? Is there a rebellion to that? Let's talk about. I don't want to say his name, but your brother can go alternate perspective.
My brother's a communist.
There it is, and your father was absolutely not,
No.
not even close.
So your dad, did he pass on his belief genes to you?
Somewhat. Yeah, in many ways, of course he did. Yeah. Not to my brother, although he tried. Well, my father was very open minded. My father was always like, you need to read both sides and then make up your own mind. So, which, and we'll have to wrap it up soon, but one of my favorite stories about my dad and my brother, and this is we talked about the Vietnam War earlier, and this is during the Vietnam War. My father hated that war. He didn't think we should be in it. It wasn't in our sphere of influence. He didn't think we had any reason to be there. And we'll talk about that maybe in another show, because my dad knew a lot about that war and was able to pass that on to me. So they were arguing about the war, and my father, my brother had he had a difficult time listening to people, right? He wanted to push back. He wanted to push back, and he just saw my dad as the rock ribbed, gun ho, American patriot. Let's go beat the commies in Vietnam, which was not at all how he felt. And my brother said to my father, "What do you know? You're just brainwashed by the military." My father was extremely well read, 20 periodicals, I don't know how many monthlies, multiple newspapers a day. And of course,
Graduate West Virginia
and
University engineer, right?
No, he never, he did not, he had to go to the war. He had to go to the war before he graduated as an engineer. But talking about somebody who's, with actual intelligence reports about the war, right? So, and that didn't set well with my dad, who lifted my brother up and held him up against the wall. But he let him know that he said, "If I get shot at, to preserve your right to say what you want, and but you live in a free country. You get your information from two underground newspapers, two underground newsletters from the communists out in Antioch, and think you know everything about the Vietnam War, and you don't." What my father tried to instill in all of his kids was read all sides of everything and make up your own mind.
I think it's probably the best thing to possibly pass down to your kids. It really is.
And that kind of hits home with the point with the rebellion aspect. So I'm going to read through 9 bullet points. Scott, you got 5 seconds to reply on each one.
Elon Musk can do these bullet points.
You did not warn me there'd be lightning rounds. Let's go. I'm
Lightning
ready.
rounds. And it's
do
not
it.
really lightning rounds. It's just general information about how to be open-minded and maintain that civility. Is that the right term there?
Yeah.
I know what you
So-
mean.
Actively seek new information. You got anything there?
Yeah, of course you should. It's just like what Mark's dad told him to do. It makes you a better, more informed person.
Yeah. Be willing to change your mind.
Always. Don't be rigid, but also don't be stupid and don't be a pushover. Everything's a balance in life.
Do you know how many times I've changed my mind on abortion?
Do you know how many times I've changed my mind?
0.
I've changed my mind several times too.
I've changed my mind. I can't count, but it doesn't matter. How what each one of those perspectives were. I basically landed on that I never crusaded to overturn Roe v. Wade, and I also never thought that celebrating 21 abortions and throwing paint on the ground as you straddle it You know, I never thought it.
So you're ambivalent.
I never thought I'd see that either, Josh.
So you're ambivalent to it, or
No, I'm not ambivalent.
Mark, how many times did you change your mind on your choice of being gay? That is a choice.
okay, moving on. We were actively seeking out new information. We'd be willing to change our mind. Empathetic and understanding that there are different perspectives in the world. I don't think that that's something that is very well taught.
It's
And
hard to teach. Here's the
We
thing. Just real quick.
Go, Scott.
Here's the thing. The universe is a fact soup. And every human being is making their own narratives because that's how the human mind works. We just create stories. We're a story fucking creature, right? But facts don't work that way. Facts exist in a weird soup connected to other facts. It's impossible to map unless we get some quantum computer AI that might be able to do it sometime in the future. We're creating stories, narratives with the small amount of information we have. And everybody is doing that through their own lens. Everybody has their own story that's real and truthful to them. And that's why psychology is so hard and dealing with people is so hard. But I think just realizing those facts helps. And it definitely helps you be more empathetic. Sorry, Mark.
that's very interesting. And fact soup, I'd never heard that one.
I agree with all of that, but I also I need to add that a lot of people are not willing to accept objective truths and facts. They will
Agreed.
only accept whatever aligns with their internal biases and their and
Yep.
the narratives and their worldview.
Yep.
That's a
100%.
good point. Let's wrap this up with the last 5, and then we'll talk through it a little bit. Experience different media. I like that one. Acknowledge you are learning. Slow down your reactions. I think that's something that people
Calm down.
Yeah.
Everybody needs to calm the fuck down.
Yeah, slow down your
Everybody needs to
reactions.
calm the fuck down.
Yeah. Be non-prejudiced. Look for source material, and are your arguments based on multiple sources? I think those are a lot of very valid points that can keep you open-minded and allow you to see different perspectives. Scott,
Those are
go
all
ahead.
good. Those are all good, especially the slowdown. Especially the slowdown and take your time. That's so fucking. How many times do you change your mind after just not being angry for like a minute? Where if you would have said something 30 seconds earlier, you just said some dumbass shit. But now you realize, oh man, since I calmed the fuck down, I'm actually saying something that makes sense because I'm not acting emotionally.
And there's a rule in corporate America. I don't know if you've experienced this one or you have it, but it's if you get pissed off about somebody sending you an email or somebody not doing something, you wait 24 hours before you respond to such thing. It's just
Good rule.
what are you doing?
He's trying to get a motherfucking sponsorship, just like we're doing with Barry's Irish Breakfast Tea. Delicious, delicious
Yogis,
black tea
yogis,
out of
yogis,
Cork, Ireland.
yogis. Anyway, you wait 24 hours to respond to that.
You're so delicious.
Before you
Makes perfect sense.
get angry and spout off something that you don't want to say.
Are you going to wait 24 hours before you smack Mark?
No.
Yeah.
It's
I
very
didn't think so.
delicious.
Okay, so
I think those are all great for whatever it's worth. Those last 5, great.
Yeah.
No notes.
And we have we gone way over? I can't see the time from here. We have gone way over, ladies and
Last
gentlemen.
time I checked, there's no ruler or there's no emperor telling us what to do. We're just trying to generally stick to a half hour.
We've been trying to stick to 15 minutes, but this was a good conversation. I appreciate it.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it.
Hungry.
Slow down.
What did we just say?
I'm hungry.
I appreciate the conversation, gentlemen. Thank you. And next week it is you, so you better be prepared.
Good
He's
night,
going to be
everybody.
prepared.
Don't do anything I wouldn't enjoy.
Good night, everybody.